Happy Hump Day, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports, who are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. He's hydrated. He's ready to go. He's got a rope hat on.
Yeah, it's Torrey Pines. It's not so good.
Oh,
man, it's weird how the tree's like showing a boat. But yeah, a little comfy hat today. As we not too long after the show goes off the air, I got to head to Myrtle and go meet up with the rest of the World Putting League professional mini golfers and figure out there's very official balls they have to give me. I'm not sure why they have to give me them the day before.
Balls.
Well, it was like a whole thing, I guess, that the last tournament that the practice balls were not the same as the tournament balls, and there's a different feel to the balls. And my God, Dan's already clipping this. Damn it. But I mean, it was a thing, and I get it. Like if you're at the highest level, you wouldn't. I mean, it's the same conversation we had about the basketballs in the NBA. Like, what if you just showed up for the playoffs and they had different basketballs? People would be losing their goddamn minds because this is not.
They did that one season. They gave him a different basketball, and they went nuts. They made him play like with a synthetic ball or something. It was more plastic, and people were like, "No, my hands are bleeding from the ball." Like it just got absurd, and they went right back to it.
Yeah,
this is not baseball, people.
So if they do, yeah, they need to give me the official balls. I need to get my jersey. I'll tweet out the. I know it. This is hilarious. My wife is still super unimpressed. She leaves in the morning very early, and I have to get the kids to school, which is not happening when I'm in Myrtle Beach. So we're relying on a friend of the family to bring the kids to school, which is happens every once in a while, but usually not for professional mini golf. So Andy's wife super unimpressed with Andy this week, but
I agree with Drew's right, by the way. I hope this is some sort of elaborate prank.
I think, yeah, it does.
I hope you get off the plane and just show up to a mini golf course and some 18-year-old kid is just staring at you like, what?
What?
The World what league?
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
God, that would be something. Oh, my God. No, it does remind me, too, of just when we first started doing the deep dive like 5 years ago. I had a full-time job. I owned a company, which means I was self-employed, but I was doing the podcast on like Wednesday nights with Drew. And I was so embarrassed to tell my wife that I had a podcast. It was just like a project back then that I just told her I was working late every Wednesday. And eventually, I mean, she just assumed that I had some sort of girlfriend or something. Eventually it's like, oh no, it's a podcast. Well, she's like, that's almost worse. Almost worse. So she's put up with a lot of shit. She'll deal with it. But yeah, let's gamble on some stuff. Oh yeah, the guy who showed up, he got practice round tickets for the Masters.
I would be there. I would show up bag in hand.
That's funny. I did try to stuff my putter into my suitcase. That didn't quite fit. So I'm playing with a house stick. Sorry, guys.
Can you carry on a putter?
I thought about that. Like, what would they say if I just walked up security with a putter?
Sir,
it would have a head cover on it.
You could, no. If you're not allowed to have like nail clippers or whatever as a carry-on, I can't imagine you're allowed to have a putter.
Yeah,
mail it. You could mail
everybody. Yeah, Pizzola and Feinberg. I talked to them too. They're not bringing their putters either. They said,
all right, so even level on the handicap because I got you at a nice number. I got some CLV on your butt. Let's get it done.
What if it was a cane? That's like, what if I just use it to prop myself up? Be like, you're just gonna take this away? I could fake a limp easily. So, all right, we'll get to mini golf more. Let's talk real sports for a little bit. NBA last night. I didn't make it through the last one, but apparently it was a good second half for the Suns.
Yep, Chris Paul finally beat Scott Foster, and it's one of those things, Andy, where I don't know if you listened to the show on Tuesday or not, but we had the Warriors game, right, where the Warriors, they don't want to go down 0-2. They only have to make these few adjustments. They're going to beat this Kings team. There's like no way. All those people lost a bunch of money, and then they all seem to be on the Clippers. Well, the Suns, they're down 0-2. They're not healthy. Scott Foster, and it just felt weird. And I'm just glad that I stayed away from both of those games. I mean, it's Last night, the Celtics take care of business against the Hawks. The Hawks come out with a big lead. Celtics wax them basically for the last 3 quarters of the game. Cavs took care of business against the Knicks in a big way. Actually, low key made me feel like my -2.5 games ticket is not completely dead. If they can play defense like that, it's over. And yeah, I mean the Clippers Suns game, the Suns with exactly what they hoped for in the half court offense. They had I think an offensive rating in the half court of like 125 or 126, which would be the greatest offensive rating of all time. Again, especially in half court where it's harder to be. So if the Suns can play like that and again really maximize the few players they have, it's going to be a fun series. But I still like all our Nuggets tickets. It's my big takeaway.
Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know about the NBA. I don't understand some of these middling series. It's like the Boston beating the shit out of the Hawks makes sense to me. The Clippers playing this well for a game and a half, essentially at this point, has kind of flummoxed my brain. And then I don't know,
Hawaii,
Cleveland, New York. Cleveland, New York feels like it's going to be a good series. 3 games tonight. Obviously, why show a Lakers game at night? Much more people. This is dumb, and I get Denver's a very good team, but there cannot be more interest on the West Coast in the Denver, Minnesota game than the Lakers match. I mean, you got some big stars in that game. It's a lot of fun.
It's 3 good games tonight. I think maybe they kind of stack things, and they're concerned about injury at this point. These should be 3 fantastic games. John Morant, questionable, went from doubtful to questionable. Again, if you're looking for a name for an NBA show, upgraded to questionable. It's just really fantastic. We'll see how he goes. He's had a hurt hand for a little while, re-injured it. We'll see if he tapes it up and gets out there against the Lakers. It should be a really interesting game. The Lakers, again, played great. If they come out and play that same game again, should maybe look towards an under, maybe look towards the Lakers. But I need to wait and see if Morant is playing or not. If he is out, hopefully the line doesn't move too much lower. I will grab an under, honestly, anything 223, 224, or something like that. But if Morant is in, I'll probably just leave that one alone. And then the nightcap, your Minnesota Timberwolves got smoked by the Denver Nuggets. Well, you like the Nuggets too. This is actually kind of a win-win for you. But Minnesota, it could just be, again, that first game, just the big relaxation after the month and a half push to get to the playoffs, to get through the play-in, get through all that adversity and just be in Denver and just kind of lay it off. We'll see what they bring tonight. I think that the tempo should be pretty high. I thought about maybe an over in that game, but everything looked about right. The one bet I did make, though, the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks, again, kind of another game mired in injury. We thought we were done with this. At least it's not stuff we're questionable about. These guys actually look like they're hurt. Tyler Hero is probably out for the rest of the season. It's at 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand. We'll see. It's his shooting hand. It's going to take a while. He really takes a lot of dynamic offensive presence away from the Miami Heat. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he looks like he is, I believe it was doubtful he was listed as. We'll see. They might try him pre-game. He has some sort of back injury. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but looks like he might play, might miss tonight. The Bucks 6.5-point favorites here, but give me the under. 219 is a really big total here, especially for a Heat team that loves to keep the pace low, a Heat team that will be without Tyler Hero. No Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yes, you lose some presence defensively, but offensively, again, a lot less options and a lot more ability here for Miami to defend. And again, same thing, no Tyler Hero. That leaves Jrue Holiday to kind of wander around and cause a lot of trouble. I mean, Middleton is going to do a nice job. We'll see what he can do tonight. So I think it makes sense to have the Bucks as favorites, maybe a little value in the Heat plus 6.5, but really like the under here. I had this closer to 215. So anything 219, even 218 or higher looks good. Well, I think it'll be a nice, ugly game.
I think Giannis is fine. Once you're how old is Antetokounmpo?
Giannis Antetokounmpo is 28.
That's not that old. That kind of kills my point. I was going to say, once you reach a certain point, you
learn how to deal with your back.
But you just have a back injury, like always. Like it's not like, oh, I have a back injury this week. You have a back injury for the rest of your life. Like if you do something that you don't normally do, your back hurts the next day. If you twist funny or sit in the car too long, your back's a little sore. Like at a certain point, you just have a back injury. 28 is probably too early. But to be fair, he's doing things I'm not normally doing. Like
it's not fair for
I'm
you
not
to
banging
compare.
around in the lane with the big guys.
Maybe calves. You guys could compare calves, but I think the rest of your body is a little different than his.
Yeah, I'm a perimeter guy. Like when I play, I'm taking the uncontested 3-pointers because nobody's going to cover me. Rainmaker, raindrop. What's he yell on?
Raindrops.
Raindrops. Yeah, that's about
Make
how
it
my shot
rain.
is.
Rainstorm.
We did. I will. Important update. Basketball update from my house. We did raise the hoop to 10 feet. So now it's like now, and actually, I did get better at shooting. I am better on a 10-foot hoop than an 8-foot hoop. Like
A little more
the angles
practice.
make a little more sense. Like
You understand why Shaq was a bad free throw shooter now.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like it's like the angle's all fucked. I got to give it some weird kind of parabola to it. I hate this. So, golf.
It's happening.
It's happening. Let's get excited. I did newsletter's not quite out, but my gripe for this one is: do we really need 80 teams? Like it's a fun event. There are 160 golfers involved. Like that's too many. Because, and we did talk about this a little with Noonan yesterday, like this is the kind of event that is advantageous for the better golfers. Like Rory McIlroy blew up at the Masters, famously. I was gleeful about this. These things happen. He had a couple bad rounds. That happens all the time. Great golfers can have bad rounds because golf is hard. But for some of these top teams, to have a blow up hole, essentially both guys have to have a blow up hole in the same hole. Otherwise, if you're playing best ball, it's like, hey, my teammate just teed off and put it in the fucking water. What are you gonna do? You're gonna pull out drive? No, you're gonna pull out a 2-iron or a 3-wood, and you're gonna hit a safe shot and take par on that hole. You're not going for it. Like the odds of both guys just absolutely duffing up a hole is so hard. So I mean, these top teams that have top players, like even if one guy isn't playing that good, it's so hard for that team to like fail completely. So the cream really does rise to the top in these team events like this. So it's super hard to take like long shots. I know some people have some good value and maybe some each way betting or stuff like that. And I guess that's kind of where I headed with this. Although I do believe this is a team who can compete to win this. I think they're good enough. And it is Team Canada, which hopefully they play better than the Leafs. And yeah, Dan has been pushing this for years.
At least the Leafs might not lose in Game 7 now.
Yeah. This is something Dan's been pushing. Do a random draw for partners. That is kind of a lot more fun. Like
that would be hot.
Super random matchups. Like stick 120 guys out there, 60
McIlroy
teams.
and Patrick Reed.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, we should.
That's true. Reed did probably a play in this.
We should let the guys into this one too. But Adam Hadwin, Nick Taylor. This is over at DraftKings. I think FanDuel is a similar line, plus 105. I should check what Bovada is. I'm guessing it'll be about minus 120 because they do not chop. There's a they don't do dead heat rules. So the prices are a little worse there, but you're not going to get your bet chopped if there's an 18-way tie for 16th or something like that. So Adam Hadwin, Nick Taylor, both decent putters, really, really above average ball strikers, and just are in good enough form. Like these are two guys that are at a top 20 in form as far as what I've been running for a model. So if you give me two guys that are top 20 in form and give me a plus money price on top 20, and I consider this a team that's probably, I have to look, I double check this. I think they had success. I feel like this is a repeating team too. A lot of these teams who've played together a couple times, that's an advantage. I feel like, some of these new teams it's like, hey, you haven't played together a lot. Things are going to be a little tricky figuring it out because there are advantageous ways to play it when you're doing alternate shot. Whereas, you can look at the whole setup and say, I want this guy taking longer iron shots. He should tee up. Tough. Yeah, he should take the second because there are spots where it's like, and our good friend who helps us with the DFS show that's on later today looked at that. And it was like 5 of the 8 over 200-yard, iron shots are going to occur for the one guy. So if you have a player who's better with long irons, he should be teeing off on the odd number hole, so he takes those shots, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that Byron, the model maniac, he did that. It was kind of interesting, and you would think these guys are smart enough to figure that out. But yeah, I'm on the Canadians top 20, anything even money or better. I worry a little bit about Hadwin spraying it off the tee. But here the fairways are wide and the rough is short, so it's not so much of a big deal.
So for that top 20, when you're kind of looking at no dead heat versus dead heat, I'm sure it's a little different every tournament. Maybe a bigger tournament or a tighter tournament has a different value. But in general, like what difference are you looking for dead heat versus not? And when do you maybe go away from that?
So on this one, I'm gonna play it at with dead heat rules. Take the better price because the scoring should be a little more spread out. There's you say 160 golfers, but technically there's only 80 teams. You're only going to have 33 teams that make the cut. So this is almost a make the cut bet, and then just don't screw it up on the weekend. But the fact that the scoring should be very low, sometimes that's kind of the tiebreaker I use because I don't have the math for this. But the tiebreaker I would use for a lot of this is like the scoring distribution. Is somebody going to shoot 15 under or better to win this, which in this case, yes, it's likely 20 under or better at this one. Or are we playing at fucking Carnoustie and, it's the winners can be 1 over or, like 2 under, something like that.
Right.
If you have that tight distribution, it's just more apt to have a lot of ties, whereas a wider distribution kind of spreads that out. And, then you're looking for someone just play well. Don't worry about 13 other groups playing as well as you. So in this case, I am going non-dead heat. But again, it's one of those things where kind of get a feel for it. Get a feel for if it's usually plus 120 at dead heat books and minus 120 at not dead heat books, you understand that relationship and what the average difference is. And there's a week where it's just off. Sometimes it's just a case, well, I'm taking the other one because this pricing is just off this week relative to the two. But yeah, that was a good question for sure.
Yeah, I think the other thing I would want to do is if I was going to look at it, pull the last 5-6 years at that tournament and just try to see how often were there ties for 10, 15, 20, like down the board. Just try to get a feel for it. But yeah, I imagine there's some value sometimes one way, sometimes the other way.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's it. I'll have some more golf stuff later.
I can dig it. What should we do this afternoon? I don't know. Do we put Champions League in, or are we going to do Champions League randomly?
Stuttgart. Oh my God, I got murdered. I did take some over 1.5 live to kind of assuage my Napoli bet, but yeah, Napoli hurt me deeply yesterday. So, is there Champions League? Oh God.
All right, you look at that. I'll talk about tennis because we do. We have one match this afternoon in Stuttgart. We're taking an underdog, and she's being bet the other way, which always makes me feel a little funky about this. But Elena Ostapenko goes up against Ons Jabeur. Jabeur actually coming off her first title of the season, really starting to play some nice tennis, but surface change here. And as I look at this match, it's one of those spots where if Ostapenko hits her spots, which she generally is about a 50-50 shot at doing, she wins this match and probably kind of comfortably. She has all the power and strength that really Jabeur can struggle with in certain players, and is happy to take this match and make the points really short, whereas Jabeur generally does better. Has some longer points, and she has more opportunities to kind of break people down here. I had this match much, much closer. I understand why Jabeur would be favored, but not nearly by this much. So I grabbed 135. I'm looking at 139. My guess is there's even a 140 or so out there. Looks like this starts about 2 p.m. Eastern this afternoon, so a couple hours after we finish the show. You got some time to put those in. And then early tomorrow morning in Hueras. What do you think Hueras is? They don't speak Spanish, though.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say it. It feels a little Hispanic. This is Clay?
Yep.
Man.
They don't speak Spanish.
They don't speak Spanish. It is Portugal.
Very good. Look at you.
Yeah, it was between Portugal and Brazil.
Yeah, Portugal. Just a smaller tournament, but again, a good week for these. A lot of the big names in Stuttgart, but there's a W100 in Portugal. That's been really early in the morning. So these matches will both be tomorrow morning here, and we'll start with a total. Jeannie Bouchard, former Instagram model, now back to playing tennis. And when she plays, generally very good, a very high talent level, a strong server, someone that generally is a great bet in terms of overs, really competitive in some of these matches, and goes up against Danka Kovinic, another player. Again, my numbers really point towards this being a much longer match than the 21 games. There's an expensive 20.5. I should have played 20.5 minus 120. That's fine. 21, it's standardish. Juice is good too. I had this closer to 21.5, almost 22 here. Just expect this to be a real battle. I didn't really like the over 2.5 sets price here. So over 21 there looks good. And then the young Erica Andreeva, short underdog against Anna Blinkova. This is another one of those situations, Andy, where we get a chance to bet a young player kind of on the upswing where the market, again, is a little bit behind what she has going on. Going against Anna Blinkova, who had a great season last year, has really started poorly this year. And again, I think they're being floated by her rating towards the end of last season versus what she's done this year. I had Andreeva as a favorite here, so plus anything looks pretty good. So we'll take Penko this afternoon in Stuttgart, and then an over and Andreeva very early tomorrow morning in Hueras. I think it's Hueras. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with Hueras. So,
yeah, European basketball fans are crazy.
They are crazy. There are none in the NBA. Yeah, they do
bring can't bring firecrackers.
If you tried to bring a flare, if they caught you trying to bring a flare into fucking Madison Square Garden, you'd be in jail. They'd get you on like some terrorist charges, man. Like you'd be in a lot of trouble. And then you watch this shit. It's like, hey, this is Greece. They're just like smoking in the gym and shit. It's a whole different world, man.
As long as it's not doing anything racist, it's probably a step forward. You hear all the stories of the use of bananas and being certain players. So
European football too, they do a lot of. It's like, hey, let's be nice.
We are a little more touchy about explosives, though. They did, at the very least, you're going to have to go answer a lot of questions for a very long time.
You're going to be in a small room answering some questions with someone. So, all right, and like I mentioned. In a little bit, I'm going to head down to Myrtle, which is in South Carolina, which I found out. I did have to do some Googling. I found out South Carolina is not cool with DFS. So I need to get my Rainmaker contests put together at the airport, essentially. I was about to say in the car, but I'm driving myself. I'm not doing that.
No.
You shouldn't do DFS while you drive. You would do that. But the World Putting League, working with a few sports books and not available in every state. I know we had to talk to somebody in Colorado to get us a screenshot. But we have odds.
Event 2.
Yes, event 2, because there was I guess it was at Hawaiian Rumble. I'm not sure where event 1 was, but you could, if anybody watches some of Pizzola's stuff, he did a watch along with those. And just for the record, well, not only do I not live in Colorado, and I don't think you can bet on this in Iowa. Didn't bet this. I'm in the event. That's the opposite of integrity, Noops. So not betting on the field. Although, like, just looking at it, of all the people I've watched highlights of, this Prokopova gal, Olivia. I don't know if she has a nickname. I call her the Czech Nightmare. I think she bets. I think she putts ambidextrously too, which is kind of an advantage for some of the shots. Calhoun has sent me so many YouTube videos of this event and stuff, and helping me prep to be good at this. I don't think I'm going to be that good. But,
Cal loves a good rabbit hole.
He does kind of dig a rabbit hole, so it's that's a good one. Like if you're in Colorado and you're looking to get some action done, there's plenty of YouTube if you want to do some research on this first. But I mean, those are your favorites for a reason. They're very good at this. They've been doing this for a long time. She's been doing putt since she was 7. So buyer beware if you're betting against Mrs. I think she's actually. It's like my favorite competitive eater, Miki Sodu, is married to another competitive eater. I think that's the case. I'm gonna have to check with him when I get down there. Pretty sure she's married to another putt guy who's on tour. So power couple at the Hawaiian Rumble, guys. So I'll be down there.
Hang with both of them. You've done some light eating. You're now like an amateur putt professional.
They were Mickey and Nick were up at the casino up in the Twin Cities a while back for a meatball eating contest. I almost went up there. If you guys remember, I had her do a cameo for our friend that does hot dog contest prop stuff, because she's like, in the next hour, I'll do cameos for X amount of dollars live from the event. So I'm like, I'm getting on that. Right, I had to go hide in another room at my in-laws' house. I was there for the 4th of July, typing out a cameo request to her. So, and that's it. And speaking of that's it, I forgot to do this Monday, but sad news, we're canceled. Kind of self-canceled. This is it. This is the last one. I've got big projects I've got to handle. Dan's got some other projects he's got to handle. Noops has to start golfing in the morning, and I won't have time for brown bag anymore, guys. We're calling it. I'm golfing the rest of the week. We're gonna go through Friday, but obviously I wouldn't be here anyway. I wanted to be here for the last episode, so send in your memories. Send it. I'm just kidding. Don't do anything weird, guys. There'll be plenty of content on this channel going forward. We'll have a lot of short content. We'll still have the deep dive, all the golf stuff, and we'll find some way to do some kind of one-off events for sure around bigger events. I think that's more fun than forcing me to bet Champions League every day anyway. So appreciate everyone that watched. I don't know, Noops, if you have any final words. Before you got on the call, we were talking about if we should do the MASH ending or the Newhart ending, and then we realized, like, fuck, we're old. Like, nobody knows what those are.
I'm trying to think of other versions of, like, from Wayne's World. Should you like the really heartfelt ending? Should we do the Scooby-Doo ending? I don't know how we would pull off the Scooby-Doo ending, though. That would be tough.
I don't have
Not
a
really
mask.
mystery here. But no, I mean, it's just... Thanks, everybody, really. All the support that we got from you guys in the chat, that was great. Everybody participating in all the contests, all the Patricks, all the great people in the chat here. Fran Millionaire. I'm not sure here is... What language is that? It kind of looks like Hebrew or Arabic or something. Thanks for having you. But everybody that supported us, which was great. Of course, producer Dan, who took something that was kind of Andy and I doing something on our own and turned it into, like, a serious show that looks really well. So appreciate everybody's support. Again, Matt couldn't be here today. He's been great as a fill-in, and everybody was on for guests. We were talking, Andy, at one point about kind of our favorite moments of brown bag bets, and I don't know if anything tops Felica opening the drawer and tearing up his tickets,
tearing up the
them
tickets
in the air.
for sure. Yeah.
But Money in the Bank,
I know we
quite
said
a bit of fun. Lakers to miss the playoffs 20-1.
We did say Sopranos ending. We thought about just like we don't have the rights to that song, but who's going to sue us at that point?
Well, at least we just did it.
And then you just go to black. We should just go to black. And Meadows trying to park the car, and they keep just
Tony's about to get shot in the face.
To black. I mean, it's just like a hard stop. So, all right, Dan, one more
time. Journey song. We don't have Buddy for a Journey song.
I could sing it. I think that's. One more time where I can't figure out how to end it. Just don't stop believing.
Indeed it is. Don't stop believing, kids.